Joined now by Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman, who is on the Homeland Security Committee as well. Senator, good morning. Good to have you with us today. Boy.
Good morning, Martha.
This is very rough news coming out of our ally, and it is a terrifying scene as we watch it play out and as we say the gunmen are still on the loose. What's your reaction to what we're seeing here this morning, Senator?
Well, first, it is a chilling scene, and it reminds us that this fight continues against radical Islam, and we need to redouble our efforts here at home. But at the moment, we need to stand with our ally, France. As you know, Martha, France has been active with us in fighting terrorism. Specifically, they've provided air support with regard to the fight against ISIS, refueling capacity. They have stood with us and with other members of the allied group fighting terrorism, and we need to stand with them. Our
I'm just going to jump in on you
families.
for just a moment here, Senator. We want to go to the Senate Majority Leader and listen for just a moment, and then we'll come back to you.
Member of this body. We're in a moment of great anxiety as a nation. The people we represent have lost faith in their government. They no longer trust Washington to do the right thing. Many face the reality of losing health plans after being told otherwise. Many struggle with rising medical costs after Washington officials repeatedly said they'd be lower. Confidence in the American dream has plunged. Anxiety about the type of country we leave to the next generation is widespread. And for many, it never has seemed more difficult just to get by. When Americans look overseas, they see a world filled with chaos, instability roiling the Middle East, terrorists pressing an aggressive agenda, and autocrats scoffing at a superpower that doesn't seem to have a real plan. At home, they see a government that's either uninterested or incapable of addressing their concerns, a government that seems to be working for itself instead of them. Whether it's Washington's dysfunction or a bureaucracy that's grown so Byzantine and unaccountable it tried to muzzle political opponents and ignore the needs of veterans. The American people have simply had enough, Mr. President. And this past November, they had their say. The message they sent was clear. If voters hit the brakes 4 years ago, this time they spun the wheel. They said they want the administration to change course and move to the middle. They said they want Congress to send legislation to the President that addresses their concerns. This November, the American people didn't ask for a government that tries to do everything and fails, and they didn't demand a government that aims to do nothing and succeeds. They asked simply for a government that works. They want a government of the 21st century, one that functions with efficiency and accountability, competence, and purpose. They want a Washington that's more interested in modernizing and streamlining government than adding more layers to it. And they want more jobs, more opportunity for the middle class, and more flexibility in a complex age with complex demands. That's
years of Harry Reid as Senate Majority Leader. There is a new Majority Leader once again, and it is Senator Mitch McConnell. He is laying out, he could be reading the exit polls in terms of what he's saying about what Americans was on their mind when they voted back in November in the midterms. And I'm joined once again by Senator Rob Portman. But, you know, the White House has already laid down the gauntlet on two big issues, Keystone and health care, and said, you know, don't even try it. The president's going to veto anything you try to do in that regard.
Yeah. No, it's too bad that the president has taken that posture. You all talked earlier about Keystone. Here's an opportunity for us to give the economy a shot in the arm. All of us are concerned about the fact that wages are flat, even declining. This is a way to add $3 billion to the U.S. economy. It's about 40,000 new jobs. The White House itself, through its State Department, has said that this is safer than moving this oil by truck and by train. Better for the environment in that case. So, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to do something on a bipartisan basis. Bill talked about a poll earlier, Martha, that 68% of the American people support this. What's really interesting is more than 60 senators support it. In other words, it's bipartisan, and it's going to go to the president. I hope he'll sign it.
So you need 67 to override a veto of the president. Do you think that those numbers are there?
Yeah, I don't know if we have 67 yet. I mean, that's a very good question. I do think that there's an opportunity here for Democrats who believe this project is a good idea to say, look, we've had a process. There's been 6 years of study. All the State Department reports have come back in a very positive way. Yeah. Obviously, there's something going on here more than just having an appropriate study, because the studies have gone on forever.
Well, you heard Josh Arnest moments ago say that they're still studying it. There's a process going on. I don't know how many years you have to study it, but apparently they still have to study it. I have one more quick question for you. We had heard months ago that there were at least 100 Americans who had passports who had gone to train in Syria and in the Middle East. How are we doing on that? Are we cracking down on those passports? Are we getting any closer for the Homeland Security Committee in learning who those individuals are? Because we don't want something like what's happening in Paris to happen here at home.
Yeah, exactly. We have an opportunity now with the new Republican majority to provide better oversight on that issue. I have raised that issue, Martha, as you know, in the past, and my concern has been that we have foreign fighters who have U.S. passports who could come back to this country with those passports. Therefore, we ought to use the authority actually that the State Department has to be able to revoke passports. We also ought to be monitoring these individuals much more closely. We also ought to be ensuring that even people who have not yet left the United States but who we have intelligence on don't go over to join that fight, because they tend to get radicalized there. They tend to learn how to use very dangerous weapons. So this is something that we've got to tighten up on. I hope what happened in Paris today is a wake-up call to us to redouble our efforts here at home.
It's a long list and a lot on the to-do list that you just mentioned. So let's hope we're on top of it. Senator, thank you very much. Good to talk to you today.
Thanks, Martha. Take care.